Good day, everyone. My name is Alexis Cabral.
And I am Mark Lewis Acaba. Welcome to our video presentation. Our topic for this presentation is about pop art.
We all know that there are numerous movements of art. We have Impressionism, Cubism, Dadaism, Surrealism, Modern art, pop art, and many more.
Through this presentation, we shall distinguish pop art from other movements of arts. We will be talking about the history, characteristics, few pop artists, and some examples of pop art. Pop art is a movement that emerged in the mid to late 1950s and it reached its peak in 1960s, in which artists incorporated commonplace objects into their work. By using imagery from popular art and mass cultures such as advertisements, comic books, and commonplace mass-produced objects, the movement challenged high art traditions. Its use of popular culture imagery in art emphasizes any culture's banal or kitschy aspects. The movement was inspired by popular and commercial culture in the Western world and began as a rebellion against traditional forms of art. When we say popular culture, it is a culture based on the taste of ordinary people rather than an educated elite, while commercial culture refers specifically to advertising forms of mediated culture, or it is a culture designed to sell a product.
The term pop art was coined by Lawrence Alloway in 1955 to design a brand new genre of art characterized by the imagery of consumerism, new media, and mass manufacturing. Pop art was one of the first art trends to bridge the gap between commercial and fine arts. Pop art marked a significant shift in modernism's direction by reviving recognizable motifs from media and popular culture. Pop art has evolved into one of the most recognizable modern art movements, maybe due to the inclusion of commercial imagery. The key idea of pop art was to blur the boundaries between high art and low culture.
Pop art began in the mid-1950s in Britain by a group of painters, sculptors, writers, and critics called Independent Group. It spread soon after into the United States. Much of the movement's roots were prompted by a cultural revolution led by activists, thinkers, and artists who aimed to restructure a social order ruled by conformity. After the Neo-Dada movement's use of found objects gave way to the punk movement, artists became increasingly interested in incorporating elements of popular culture into their works. The movement spread quickly, and many believe that the UK pop pioneer Richard Hamilton's 1956 collage, "Just What Is It That Makes Today's Home So Different, So Appealing," marked the official beginning of the cultural phenomenon. However, pop art lost popularity in the 1970s as the art world turned its attention away from actual art objects and toward installations, performances, and other types of less tactile art. The name pop art has been attributed to the independent group, art critic Lawrence Alloway, architects Alison and Peter Smith, and visual British pop art artist Richard Hamilton.
Pop art is a style of art based on simple, bold images of everyday life, such as consumer items from grocery store shelves, new and innovative household appliances, recognizable imagery from films, televisions, newspapers, magazines, and comic books. Pop artists created pictures of consumer products, labels, and packaging, photos of celebrities, comic strips, and animals. Pop art characteristics include recognizable imagery, bright colors, irony, and satire, innovative techniques, and mixed media collage.
Examples of some famous pop artists include Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, Jasper Johns, and Eduardo Paolozzi. American artist Andy Warhol is well known in the pop art movement through the production of his unique silk screens or serigraphies of modern and consumer icons. Warhol's artistic approach primarily responded to the mass media culture of the late 1960s. Behind the pop art style, his artwork is influenced by the early 1960s stylization of comic books and commercials. One of his artworks is The Drowning Girl in 1963. Jasper Johns. The witty, enigmatic paintings of Jasper Johns questions how we perceive and understand the world. Johns began using ubiquitous signs such as flags and targets, the subject of his artwork. Richard Hamilton. Richard Hamilton was the founder of pop art and a visionary who outlined its aims and ideas. A lollipop from one of his early collages furnished the movement with its title. He was the first artist to use visual juxtapositions in the 1950s to depict the frantic energy of television. Eduardo Paolozzi. The prolific and creative artist Eduardo Paolozzi is most recognized for fusing early surrealism ideas with avant-garde components of popular culture, modern equipment, and technology. He was raised in the shadow of World War II in a family profoundly impacted by the polarizing nature of a nation at war, which sparked his lifelong investigation of how people are influenced by outside, uncontrolled factors.
I Was a Rich Man's Plaything exhibits an interest in modern American culture and consumer culture, exemplified by the Coca-Cola advertisement in the bottom right corner. Much like Andy Warhol's later works, the piece combines popular culture artifacts, including a Pulp Fiction book cover, a Coca-Cola advertisement, and a military recruitment poster. Roy Lichtenstein, whose paintings frequently took the appearance of cartoons, may have been inspired by the cartoonish font of the pop. Just what is it that makes today's home so different, so appealing? Richard Hamilton's collage is frequently considered the very first piece of the pop art movement, and was a key work in developing the genre. A bodybuilder and a burlesque dancer in the collage stand in for an updated Adam and Eve. Surrounded by modern conveniences, including a vacuum cleaner, canned ham, and a television. Campbell's soup cans. Andy Warhol is well known for appropriating familiar imagery from popular culture and mass media. In this work, the popular Campbell Soup Company canned soup in 1962 when he first presented Campbell soup cans. The canvases were arranged side by side on shelves to resemble the items in a shopping aisle. At the time, Campbell's offered 32 various types of soup. Hence, each of Warhol's 32 canvases represents a different flavor. The canvases for Campbell's soup cans are hand-painted, even though they resemble the mass-produced, printed advertisements by which Warhol was inspired. Warhol deliberately repeated the identical picture across each canvas, limiting the repetition and uniformity of advertising. He just changed the labels on the front of each can, giving each a unique look.
This interpretation of the historical sensation of pop art is important because it reveals that pop art was far more than an artistic movement that was limited to artists and celebrities. The influence of pop art extends beyond the art world by influencing the business world and continually transforming culture into an ever greater artistic spectacle. The essential significance of pop art is that economic and aesthetic considerations are not in opposition. So, that is now the end of this presentation. Thank you for listening.